We heard the gunshots, like it was pop, 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 and then the customer started running in, saying somebody's shooting, somebody's shooting.
We are following that breaking news from Washington Square Mall tonight, where 3 people were shot and the dangerous gunman is still on the loose. Good evening, everyone. I'm Todd Connor. We first brought you that breaking news at 6:45 this evening, and just hours later, police are still here searching for more clues into this shooting, and they're still searching for the man who opened fire inside. Here's what we've learned about the terrifying encounter. Police tell us it was around 6:30 when they got the first calls of shots fired inside the Washington Square Mall. Once inside, police found that 3 people, a woman and 2 men, described as young adults, had all been shot or at the very least suffered injuries in that shooting. By that time, the suspect had already taken off, and they are still looking for him tonight. As the shooting took place, people inside were diving for cover and seeking shelter. But the good news for the rest of the people inside the mall and this neighborhood, police say this was not a random shooting, but a targeted attack.
It looks like that we have a suspect who went into the mall, approached someone he knew. This was a targeted individual. They had words. Then that individual shot him, and that's where we're at right now.
Once again, 3 people were hurt in this shooting. The man who was targeted, we believe, has the most serious injuries in this. The other 2 people, non-life-threatening injuries. They're going to be okay. Now, witnesses have reported hearing as many as 15 shots inside, but of course, police will be counting those to determine exactly how many shots were fired. Our Melissa Mahadeo has been out here from the very beginning on this shooting, and she talked to a lot of people who were inside at the time and were probably fearing for their lives. Melissa.
Yeah, Todd, we arrived around 6:50. So just a few minutes after this shooting all took place, as soon as we heard it happen, we came directly here. Witnesses were still inside the mall, inside the Target and Burlington coat factory at the time. As they started to exit, we spoke with several of them, almost a dozen. Many of them say, obviously, it's a mall. They were here with their family, with their friends at the time. So when all of this took place, they weren't just fearing for themselves, they were fearing for their loved ones as well.
Pop, 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 and then the customer started running in, saying somebody's shooting, somebody's shooting.
So employees Tamara Romero and Simone Delphine did what they were trained to do.
If you in there, you go to the back.
Dozens of workers, customers, anyone in sight rushed into the back room at Burlington Coat Factory as witnesses reported hearing shot after shot. Up to 15 inside Washington Square Mall just after 6:30 Wednesday.
And they said active shooter.
At Target, Tina Birch was pushed into a storage closet, praying she'd survive.
My first thought was, in the storage room, you're looking for a place to hide.
Witnesses reported seeing a man in a ski mask. Officers saying the attacker targeted one man in the mall. But the shots sent fear through the halls, separating families and friends.
I heard people running, people screaming.
I gotta go. I have family members who work with me, so therefore my first instinct is family.
Delphine says customers barricaded themselves for an hour, all the while hoping their loved ones weren't among the 3 reportedly shot.
Nobody wants anybody to lose a family member. Nobody wants to be shot.
No one, they say, expected this to happen to them.
It makes you not want to do nothing no more, because you got to be scared if you're going to lose your life.
Todd, and that young woman you just heard from at the end, she actually goes to Warren Central High. So she wasn't here when all this took place. She was at the school trying to attend a basketball game. As soon as that shooting took place, Warren Central High was placed on lockdown. So was everything in the immediate area.
Everybody trying to keep everybody safe.
Absolutely.
All right, Melissa, thank you. Of course, as soon as they got the ambulances here, they put the people inside and took them to the local hospitals. At least one of the victims went to Eskenazi Hospital. Our camera was there as the ambulance rolled up with one of the victims inside. Once again, police telling us there were 3 victims in this. One, the target, seemed to have the most serious injuries, and 2 other people who appeared to be bystanders also suffered non-life-threatening, what would probably be described as more minor injuries. They were transported as well, and we do not have an update on their condition yet or know whether they are still in the hospital at this hour. Meanwhile, our team coverage continues now as Call 6 Investigates get an inside look at the calls for help that people made from here at the Washington Square Mall. Call 6 investigator Raphael Sanchez joins us live with that part of our story. Raphael.
Todd, good evening. Call 6 has learned that a weapon described as a shotgun was used in the office in the Target there at Washington Square Mall. And right now at 11:05, there are still so many unanswered questions. We take you inside as people reach out to first responders amid the gunfire and the chaos. At around 6:28, police began to get calls that there was a problem at Washington Square Mall. There were multiple reports on the number of gunshots heard, ranging from 10 to 20. At 6:31 came the first possible sign of the gunman, as someone reported a subject with an AK-47 firing shots and one person was hit. 2 minutes later, a conflicting call, as another eyewitness says the gunman is running with a small semi-automatic weapon. Meanwhile, a mother hiding with her daughter inside the Target called for help, saying that she's in a storage closet and was scared to come out. At 6:36, authorities became aware of the second person shot. By 6:40, first responders learned of the third victim. Calls for help continued, and more police kept arriving. By 6:42, the gunman was described as wearing a ski mask. While paramedics focused on the injured, police zeroed in on public safety and the evidence left behind at what's become a major crime scene. And so let's talk about that crime scene now at 11. Here's the big perspective. Of course, police are using this as the crime scene because of the shooting. Now, that gunman was last described as running along Midhofer Road here to the north of the mall. And of course, that is a big stretch of property, a lot of homes around the area. So police have a lot to handle. The initial response by police, 6 officers within about 15 minutes, Todd. There were 20, and they kept on coming.
Raphael, thank you very much for that. Washington Square Mall management has just sent us a statement on this shooting today. They tell us they are fully cooperating with police and will do anything they can help the investigation. The mall adds the safety of our shoppers and employees is our top priority. As part of our commitment to promoting a safe shopping environment, we maintain a highly trained staff that is prepared to respond to a variety of emergency situations. We take numerous proactive measures and coordinate very closely with local officials as a best practice. Our thoughts are with the victims and their families during this difficult time. Now, safety experts say if you find yourself in this unfortunate situation, there are really about 3 things you can do. You can run if you believe you can get out safely. They say you can hide if you have nowhere to go, maybe barricade the doors in whatever room you might be in. And as a last resort, if those other 2 just won't work, you can fight back with whatever you have in your possession to fight back. I spoke to a retail manager at another shopping mall tonight, and she told me that because of all of the recent mall shootings around the country and around the world, they have now undergone annual training for this type of thing. They are told what to do in case of a mall shooter. They are told to close and lock both the front and the back doors, seek shelter, and immediately call 911. It's probably different for every store, but she assumes that most retail outlets have some sort of plan in place, and you can bet a lot of people out here at the Washington Square Mall tonight just went with their instincts and their training, if they had any, for a situation like this, because it was a very frightening situation for so many people when they hear the words active shooter and hear as many as 15 shots go out throughout the mall. That is the latest from Washington Square Mall. We have much more ahead on the news at 11 as the news at 11 continues on WRTV 6.